What's up, dudes and dudettes of the internet? My name's Scythe, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna actually keep it kind of low key today, and maybe just even get a little bit closer to the mic so I don't have to be shouting so much, because as you can probably hear, my voice is almost dead. I've been recording like crazy, going absolutely nuts, doing some Warframe and stuff like that today, so yeah, I'll get those out by next week, but either way, for today, I wanted to try and rush this video out as soon as possible because there is some new information about Mantle of Power. Goodness gracious, I hope I can make it through this video. But yeah, so anyways, everybody, MMORPG.com has been having tons and tons of articles on all the Mantle of Power stuff. I guess they're using them as their primary, like, go-to website, right? Small fun fact I just want to say, too, about all the MMORPG mounts. Check regularly because they regularly restock them. So anyways, Mantle of Power is going to end up giving new stats, new levels, new gear. All of this we pretty much know. But the gem system, they talk a little bit more in detail in the article, which I'll link to it in the description if you want to read it yourself. But we're going to end up talking about all the juicy bits anyways. So we've got 3 different gem types: fire, air, water. And each of those gems is going to give you different stats, and you can actually refine them to end up getting better versions of those gems and better stats. So the way that that's going to work is you're going to go into like a gem forge or a menu or something like that, I guess, and then you will it's going to cost gem dust to forge up your gems. Now, gem dust is going to be gotten from a loot collector and using like throwing gems in it and deconstructing them, right? And then that's going to give you gem dust, which you're going to end up using to forge up and fuse other gems so that you can end up getting them stronger and stronger and stuff like that, right? So it says that you can get the gems to level up once, and then a very rare chance of it leveling up twice or being +2, let's say, because I don't want to say that it's leveling up because that gives the impression that the gem can level up beyond level 2. But as far as I can hear, it's +1 stat or +2, and +2 is the best one that you can get, but it's going to be very tough RNG to actually end up fusing up a gem and refining it to be +2. Now, here's where some generic MMO stuff ends up coming in. It also has a chance to become cracked, meaning that the gem will be useless unless it's repaired, and you can repair it using your qubits. So, unfortunately, that's another thing that's going to take qubits. I think that's a good decision for end game players, yes, but I don't think that it's a good decision for new players because, like, new players already are completely overwhelmed at all of the things that you can end up buying with qubits or like flasks and everything like that. And although all of it does end up giving mastery, I guess granted that there is only a couple good flasks that you should actually even go for anyway. I want to point out, by the way, once Mantle of Power comes out, I'm going to end up creating an alternate account so I can kind of go through the tutorial and do kind of an updated tutorial on things. Not to mention, this is going to actually change the classes quite a bit. So, once I end up getting kind of the hang of Mantle of Power and everything like that, I'm going to do more in-depth class tutorials because I know lots of people have wanted those from me for a very long time. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun and very, very busy at the same time. So anyway, as I was saying, repairing the gems. That's going to be a little bit tedious. There is actually going to be 9 gem slots per class. This is important. 3 of each for each element. Now I'm going to actually bring up an image right here. This is what it's going to look like. So you got your character tab, your gem tab, your PvP tab, and then your mastery tab. So it's actually going to be a new tab, and it's going to be completely separate for each character. So if you end up having gems on the Chloromancer, you swap over to the Trichonis, and he's going to have empty slots, right? But further than that, these gems are going to actually be class bound. So that's a little bit weird because it means that it's going to be forcing you to kind of have a main class, which would be fine. But a lot of the experience in Trove, like just firsthand experience in playing the game, ends up coming from playing as the classes and tinkering with them and stuff like that, right? Like nobody knows how broken the Shadow Hunter is unless you end up playing him. So you know someone's going to totally end up getting screwed because they're going to end up putting all their good gems and stuff into a Shadow Hunter, not realizing that he's absolutely awful. He would be fantastic because he's got very high damage, but he's terrible because half of his skills are broken and don't really work. So yeah, stay away from the Shadow Hunter. But anyway, it also goes on to say that lower level gems can be swapped out for higher level gems a little bit further down the line. So I don't know if they're implying that you have to be a higher level, or if at the moment they don't have any way of swapping out lower gems. I'm not sure. It wouldn't make sense for them to keep that around for a very long time. So hopefully it just means once you get to a higher level, you can swap the gems out or something like that. Or maybe it means that you can put a stronger gem on top of a weaker gem, and then maybe the gem just gets deleted or something. I don't know. But the other thing too is that you can see right here with the gems, these are actually the sky gems, oddly enough, even though you would have thought that sky would have been yellow, because now what? Water gems are yellow? It just doesn't really make much sense to me, right? So anyway, the sky gem, as you can see, ignore all the stats because that's not finalized, and this is all just placeholder just so that you can get an idea. But anyway, you see that it actually is going to end up giving you energy regeneration. So I guess each of the gems are going to have different stats tied to them that are going to be like a maxed out blue water gem. I guess we'll just call it a blue gem, will end up giving you, I guess, a lot more energy regen, right? So if you succeed, I mean, in fusing this gem and making it a stronger one, all stats go up a small amount. So pretty much the exact same as forging. Looking at it that way, it's kind of pointless, but I think what they're actually aiming for with these gems anyway, these minor stat ones, is you're going to be able to farm them out of the new portals that they're going to end up adding. So it's like if you're in U3 grinding dungeons, you're going to end up getting water gem fragments, and then you can fuse them back up to making better gems, right? So free stats is always a good thing, but because of that, it's going to make some of the classes like it's going to be nuts trying to figure out like how strong these classes end up getting, right? And then you can see it can either deconstruct or break, I guess, and become cracked, get +1 or +2 if you're lucky. Now, if we further analyze some of these things down here, you can see this horseshoe. Not exactly sure how you attain that, but it's actually going to cost 1 of 10. Really, really weird that it's even a horseshoe icon. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be an item that you grind out of the later Uber portals or something. I don't know. But then there is also the 4-leaf clover 21. I'm assuming that is 21 luck or 21 chance or something like that. I'm not sure. But right here, this is where it starts getting a little bit cray-cray, folks. Is you're going to see this dice, which implies to me RNG, random generation, better chance, and there's a little buy icon, meaning that it is actually going to be for credits, which is going to be something in the store. So if you are paying for better odds of fusing the gem, that is very, very pay to win, and I don't like it. And then I don't know what this is going to be. It's a crystal ladybug or something. Maybe this is just buying the ultimate crystal outright, but I don't think that they would go in that direction. I have absolutely no idea what this little bug ally thing is going to end up being. So yeah, that's pretty nuts. And then this is going to end up being the gems required, or the gem dust required, and then the flux required as well. Hopefully the flux isn't too high because of the amount of flux that you're going to need for forging all the way up to stellar and everything like that. And by the way, I just will say that in passing, there is actually a screenshot on the Trove website talking about like get stellar gear while it's hot, right? And it actually shows in that screenshot that it is going to #confirm cost 2 radiant souls to forge a radiant item that is your radiant face, hat, or weapon up to stellar gear. There's not going to be radiant wings, and there is not, or rings, and there is not going to be stellar rings either. At least not at this time. They said they would never end up adding a gear over radiant. They ended up doing it. So I think it's only a matter of time before they do it with rings anyway, right? So the other thing too is in that screenshot, it actually shows 10 perfect prisms. Now, everybody kind of panicked about this, myself included, unfortunately, because this is the perfect prism. This is an item that used to exist in the cash shop, and you would actually use this item to forge a rainbow item up to shadow, and then they just removed it from the shop and pretty much from the game in general, but people are still selling it in the market, as you can see. Now, don't go around buying the perfect prisms, because I'm pretty sure that that's just a placeholder item that they threw in there, or maybe like you can kind of see based on this picture right here that the gem dust looks very similar to the perfect prisms. So the devs might just be recycling this item and turning its look into gem dust, because that's what they ended up doing with the Dragon Crucible, by the way, because lots of people always ask, like, how do you get a Dragon Crucible in a club? Well, the Dragon Crucible actually was not the Dragon Crucible at one point. It was a different crafting table from Alpha that they ended up removing, and then they just remade it into the Dragon Crucible, I guess because all the code was there, because so why not, you know? But anyways, the other video that we talked about Mantle of Power, I'll put a card in the top right hand corner of your screen so you can click that and go check that video out if you didn't, because in that video we talked about the Neon Ninja, Boomeranger, Gunslinger, Pirate Captain, Draconis Fate, Trickster, and Shadow Hunter's augmented abilities that the gems will end up giving you. So just to give a taste, the Shadow Hunter's main normal attack turns into a machine gun. So it's very, very cool, but he is still a useless class. Don't get him. But today we've got some news on the Candy Barb, Revenant, and Chloromancer's gem augmented abilities. So the Candy Barb's #1 ability, which is his Candy Jump Crusher attack, right? Or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called. I never play the Candy Barb, but he's actually not too bad right now, even in U6 and stuff. He's okay. He's not the strongest or anything like that, but you can get by if you have full set of Radiant, right? But anyway, his #1 ability, which normally leaps into the action, it's a very fun ability, but it's always been useless, because why would you want to leap away from the enemy? Not to mention the damage that it does is very, very minor. So it's going to augment that ability. So instead, it's going to suck enemies towards you, snare them for, I guess, a split second or something like that, while you jump into the air and then crash down on them. So depending on the amount of damage that ability ends up giving you, not to mention the casting time, that could actually end up making the Candy Barb a little bit better, just because you'll have another ability that you can be spamming the whole time instead of his #1, which you never ever end up using, right? Revenant's Shield Bash will now lose its cooldown, but apply a bleeding effect that is stackable, which will do damage over time to enemies. But important note is that this ability also will, or this augment, I guess I should say, will also lose the taunt and aggro that the Shield Bash normally does. Now, you never need the aggro for normal PvE grinding and stuff like that. You only ever need that for Pinata Assassin, and mostly just on hard mode, because normal is a joke. So you'll end up using your right click and luring all the enemies at Pinata and stuff like that. So that might not be good to use the gem when you're in Pinata, but for normal grinding and stuff like that, that will probably just end up being better depending on how strong it actually ends up being. And the Chloromancer will have a random chance of his right click plant or his #1 plant. Either of those will have a random chance to drop a Gatling gun plant, which sounds super duper cool to me, because that just sounds so cool. I don't like the fact that it's on a random chance, because that means that you're only randomly going to get it, meaning that it's not really something that you can count on to determine whether or not the Chloromancer just became more powerful or not. I guess he did, but he only has a chance of being more powerful some of the time. You know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, I don't really know. This plant will shoot in, I think it says that it shoots in a cone, or maybe it's just a straight line. The plant grows faster than the normal plants, but also despawns faster. And one thing that I very much don't like, and I really, really hope that the article is wrong, is that it also says that once it actually plants, it's going to be shooting in a random direction, not towards enemies or anything like that. And that, to me, makes that ability absolutely useless, except for the fact that we're pretty much always right in the face of whatever enemy we're fighting in Trove anyway, because there's not really much AI. They always just run straight at you. So chances are, you know, it's going to be hitting the boss that you're fighting anyways, because they're going to be standing right on top of you, and the plant, no matter what direction it's aiming in, so long as it has at least a little bit of AoE, it should be okay. It should be okay. Then they say something hilarious where they talk about players that are concerned that these skills will disrupt the balance of PvP, as if PvP's balanced. Need not worry, because the lead dev said that the arena is pretty well balanced right now, and that this is not a system that they are looking to introduce at this time. I just wanted to say that because I thought that was hilarious. But anyways, Tryon is also looking to, unfortunately, they were going to actually have Mantle of Power, or at least they talked about having it out this week on the PTS server. But instead, it looks like they're aiming to have it sometime on the PTS server during the last week of this month. And even then, it says that they're planning to, hoping to, so who knows? Not to mention, it's going to be on the PTS server for a couple weeks before it actually launches. What I assume is going on, I don't really have it in my calendar or anything, but is a gaming event going on sometime soon or something? Because I bet you anything, that's what they're waiting for before they put Mantle of Power up, right? Like maybe GDC or E3's coming up, and I just don't know about it. I don't know. Either way, whatever, seems like it's going to take a little bit. But yeah, so the other abilities that they still haven't talked about, but may have talked about by the time this video goes up, because they're doing a live stream today where they're going to be talking about probably the same abilities we just covered, but they also haven't showed the Lunar Lancer, Tomb Raiser, Knight, or Ice Sage. There was an article that did talk about the Ice Sage changing either his right click or his ultimate. I have no idea, but it changes it so he starts breathing ice breath and will actually like freeze enemies and cause damage over time. So that's actually not too bad. And then the Knight, I just have a theory because the devs have talked about this extensively so many times. They always talked about, I really wish that we could get the Knight to, hi Joe, so that we could get the Knight to do mounted combat. So that would be very, very cool if he ended up doing that. But unfortunately, with the gems being bound to your character and then stellar gear being account bound, it means that not only can you not swap out gear with other people, like if you're playing co-op type of stuff, like Joe and me grind up together, we kind of share our flux pool and stuff like that. It just makes things easier for us. No, we're not going to do it with anybody else. I'm just saying. Oh, my voice. But as soon as we ended up reading that, it meant that we couldn't swap stellar gear off from each other. So if I want a physical set, I would have to make it myself. So I'm probably going to end up going for a magic set. And then unfortunately, this whole gem thing kind of pigeonholes you into using one specific class. So I'm definitely going to end up buffing up my Chloromancer, because as much as I love the Draconis, I absolutely love him. I've played him since closed beta. It's time to let him go. I'm going to be maining the Chloromancer instead. Not to mention, the Draconis is super duper weak. He doesn't look like he's going to end up getting rebuffed or anything like that. He's still okay and can still kind of handle U6, no problem, that's for sure. But compared to like the Chloromancer, the Tomb Raiser, or the Boomeranger or Lancer, it's just no contest. There is no reason to use him because he's just not that level of strong, right? And then his new gem ability, I thought would make me excited about using the Draconis again, but in all honesty, it doesn't. It really doesn't make me excited to think that I would have a random chance of having a little dragon ally pop up. You know, it's like I would rather have a random chance to have a Gatling plant, just like Plants vs. Zombies show up, right? So yeah, in closing, I'm very, very excited about all of this. Not exactly sure what they're going to do for the cash shop stuff, but we all know that they're going to be leaning towards that heavily in some way, shape, or form. One theory that I do have, can't quote on this, don't quote me on this because it's just a theory, is the fact that the RNG, at least the RNG seems to be pay to win, means that you're probably not going to be able to buy this on the PTS server. And I know lots of people that have started to main the PTS server. And because of that, unfortunately, the devs have started limiting and closing off features and stuff out of the cash shop on the PTS server. Like Chaos Chess used to be buyable on PTS, not to mention Pinatas. And then they also moved away from the Shaper Visions. So now it seems like they're going to end up putting these gems, of course, on the PTS. So you're still going to be able to get them, yes, but it's going to be very, very difficult on the PTS as opposed to people that are on the live server and are just going to be able to buy it straight out, right? So either way, I'm still very excited about it. You know, lately they, for some strange reasons, are starting to call this the official Trove expansion, which I think is really funny because they weren't calling it an expansion before. There was just a dev stream where they randomly in passing said, the there's so much content, it's almost like a Trove expansion. And I guess that must have hit a light bulb for them or something like that, because now everywhere they're saying the Trove expansion, Mantle of Power, the Trove expansion. And it's like, get real, man. This is more like Trove's second launch, or its real launch, because the Steam one, although it did well, it kind of failed, you know, like it just, you know, it kind of came and went. I mean, I guess we got lots more people in this game. Look at that. That looks ridiculous. Isn't that amazing? I think my mouse is being stupid again. I'm just going to unplug it because I don't care. And I don't want it to start going beep, 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 beep. Oh, it looks like it's going to do that anyway. Either way, let me know what you all think in the comment section below. Of course, I'm going to have links to everything that you need in the description. But otherwise, don't misunderstand my low energy. It's just because my voice is absolutely broken right now. But either way, I am so stoked about this. Very, very excited. It can't come too soon. Like, seriously, Mantle of Power, I wish it was coming sooner, because unfortunately, the fact that it's taking so long, to me, just says that that's more opportunity for the new players that are coming for Mantle of Power to end up realizing how grindy this game is if you're not willing to pay, and they're just gonna end up quitting, right? So I don't know. But either way, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm very stoked about it. Anyways, I gotta give my voice a little bit of a break, and I gotta edit this, render this, and throw it up so that I can have it out today for all of you people. Sayonara and stay epic, everybody.